With the MLB season being just around the corner, we're going to talk a little Reds baseball. We're going to talk within the Reds. We're going to talk awards winner, not the entire league, but just from the Reds standpoint, who we'll think wins said award category. Starting up with the Cy Young. The Cy Young award winner of the Reds this season, we're going Trevor Bauer, and what is a Reds rotation with a lot of depth, a lot of potential. The favorite to be the quote-unquote Cy Young winner of this rotation is likely to be Castillo or Sonny Gray here. But here's why we're going Bauer. It's the contract year. It is the contract year, and if you follow the social media, if you follow anything Trevor Bauer related, he's a very outspoken guy. He's been very outspoken throughout this entire MLB-PA negotiation deal, and he is more than aware of how much more he can get paid if he has a very, very good contract year going into unrestricted free agency. I think that's going to be a giant motivation for him this year. And again, I know he talks a lot. I think that's the one thing, especially as, most baseball fans are used to, the players not being as outspoken. And I don't necessarily always agree with what he has to say, but I do commend the guy for speaking out his mind. I think, contrary to the, going to get with the grain here, I think it's important that you see more baseball players come out and speak their mind more like Trevor Bauer does. It kind of builds that, that personal connection between the player and the fans. It gets that person, I guess, the personality trait, if you want to say, to connect you with these guys. I really do think it's something, baseball needs to get the nation back into loving baseball like it used to. But story for another time. Back to Trevor Bauer. We've heard him very vocal. You never know. How's that going to turn out? Is he too worried about talking smack and not worried enough about the game? I can understand, is he too worried about his little interviews than he is with the game? We see some players that can't handle it. They get a little distracted by doing some media stuff, some other things, and they don't play as well. But he wants to play. He seems driven to play. He's already made it known. He wants to play every 4 starts. Will that happen? Who knows? I mean, it could at the end of the day, the 5th man, struggling. The Reds need to win. We'll see what happens there. But you look at a guy like Trevor Bauer. He struggled with the Reds last season. Yeah, he struggled with the entire season a little bit. 2018, no different story. 2.25 ERA. In other words, he has the stuff. He did that in the American League, which is even more impressive. I think this has bounce back elite year written all over for Trevor Bauer. I hope that's the case at least. Trevor Bauer, 2.35 ERA, 1.08 whip. We're going to say 7 wins for his 2020 campaign. And then we go to reliever of the year. If you guys have been following the channel long enough now, you already know how we feel about Iglesias bouncing back this year. He had a rocky 2019, the 3-12 record. Obviously, you're a closer, going to pull up them losses because every time you blow a save, just how it is, the record's going to look skewed, whatever. But the 4.16 ERA, different story. He struggled. We've seen it multiple times last season. But what was important was how he ended the season. He ended September very strong, but I think we see him come back more confident this year, confident and ready to tote the load in the back end of this bullpen. We're seeing a 1.95 ERA. Keep in mind, short season, 1 bad outing. We could talk 4s, a whole bunch of good outings, lower 1s, right? 12.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, which would be a career high for him, and 15 saves for Iglesias. How about a gold glove? How about a gold glove? We're going to say Freddy Galvis. All the additions, the Reds had this offseason. Hey, we got Castellanos, we got Shogo, we got 1 position left to fill. Shortstop. Think Freddy Galvis didn't hear that? You think that didn't, come up to him once or twice like, hey, look, they're looking to fill every position. They're good to go. They just think you suck, Freddy Galvis has a lot to offer here. He's really not that bad of a player at the end of the day. And I really think, Freddy comes in with that, here, let me prove myself type of mindset this season. And I think he's going to be, at the very least, a very solid piece in a Reds defense that going into the season may be the biggest concern. I mean, if you look like we just said, we brought all the bats in, the pitching staff's looking solid, the bullpen should be good. So from a what can be improved upon standpoint, it's the defense. And I do think the defensive abilities of Freddy Galvis here, it's going to be his way to help contribute to this team and help them win games. The MVP, this one, it took some thinking, but we're going to go with Eugenio Suarez. Suarez is the only guy on this team to drive in 100 runs in the last 2 seasons, and he's done it twice, right? He did it both seasons. That includes the guys they just brought over this offseason. He's going to continue to be the man that powers this team that wins, I think. Suarez was batting .319 in Reds wins last season versus .229 in Reds losses. And hey, It's a different team this season. I don't think the Reds will, have to lean on Suarez as much from an offensive standpoint. I still think he is the center point of this offense, though. I mean, you look at Moustakas, he batted 234 with runners in scoring positions last season. Last 3 of the last 4 seasons, he batted 234 or worse with runners in scoring position. He did have that one season at 300, but for the most part, Moose looks like that power guy, which, hey, we get 35, 30 home runs out of Moustakas a year. That's still a big help to this offense, even though we might have to put up with the runners in scoring position pain. It is what it is, right? Runs are runs if we can get some from him. And you have Castellanos, who batted 243 with runners in scoring position last season. But besides that, through the last 4 seasons, this guy batted 300. He's going to be interesting. He will be, how many opportunities is this guy going to get this year? He bats 300 this season with the Reds offense that gets on base a lot in front of him. He could have a great season. Nonetheless, both guys are going to have an impact, no doubt about it. But I question how big the impact will be if, say, Castellanos is sitting or batting cleanup. Let's say he's on a hot streak at the moment, and now you can't pitch around Suarez. I think that'll benefit Suarez even more, knowing that they don't have that luxury to pitch around him as much because of what can potentially be behind him. They don't want to take that chance. They're going to give him more chances to hit the ball. And this could be a big year for the man. We're saying 20 home runs, 41 RBIs, 281 average, and a 357 on base percentage. It would be a big season for 2 months and a week and a half. We'll see if he can do it. That's our predictions. Love to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.